Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Daily English Talk. I'm Emily, and I'm really happy you're here with me today. I want you to imagine that we're sitting together in a warm, quiet place. Maybe a cozy cafe, maybe your living room, maybe a sunny park, and we're just talking like two friends. Today, our topic is something that truly changed my life, and I believe it can change yours too. We're talking about your mindset, the way you think, the way you talk to yourself, and how the thoughts you repeat every day can shape your entire future. You know, so many people believe their lives are controlled by luck or talent or other people's decisions or opportunities that come from the outside world. And yes, those things matter, but not nearly as much as what's happening inside your own head. Your mind is where everything begins. Your thoughts become your actions become your habits become your life. And that's why mindset is not some motivational buzzword. It's the foundation of everything you do. So today, I want to take you on a long, gentle journey. You don't need to take notes. You don't need to study. Just listen, relax, feel the meaning, and imagine that I'm talking directly to you, because I am. Let's start by talking about the thoughts you hear in your head every day. Because whether you notice them or not, you have a voice inside your mind, a voice that comments on everything you do. And for many people, that voice is not kind. It says things like, I'm not good enough. And maybe sometimes it whispers, I always fail. Or I can't learn English well. Or other people just have easier lives than me. Maybe you've even caught yourself thinking that things never work out for you. Or that you're simply not lucky. Or not smart enough. Or that you will never change. And if you've had thoughts like this, please hear me. You are not alone. Every person in the world has moments when their mind becomes their biggest enemy. But here's the truth. That voice is not a fact. It is not the truth about who you are. It is only a habit. Yes, a habit. Your brain gets used to repeating certain thoughts the same way your body gets used to sitting the same way or walking the same way. And what feels true is often just what feels familiar. So the first step is to notice those thoughts. To hear them, to say to yourself, oh, I see what my mind is doing. Because you cannot change a mindset you never observe. And trust me, you can change it. There is something very important I want you to understand. The way you think today is not your destiny. It is simply your starting point. The brain is not a fixed machine. It grows, it adapts, it learns. Neuroscientists call this neuroplasticity, but you don't need to remember that word. You only need to remember the idea. Every time you think a new thought, you strengthen a new pathway in your mind. Every time you challenge an old belief, you weaken it. Your brain is always changing, and that means you can always change. Now, let's talk about two different ways of thinking that shape your life: a fixed mindset and a growth mindset. And I promise I'm not going to explain this like a textbook. We're doing this the natural, human, friendly way. A fixed mindset is like living inside a small room with no windows. Everything feels limited. You believe that your abilities are permanent, that your intelligence is permanent, that your personality is permanent. You believe that you are who you are and you can't change. And when you believe this, every mistake feels like proof that you're not enough. Every challenge feels like a threat. Every failure feels like a confirmation of your fears. A person with a fixed mindset says things like, I'm just not good at languages, or I'm too old to start, or I don't have the talent, or if I can't do it perfectly, I won't even try. And you know what the saddest part is? People who think this way are not bad or weak. They are simply scared. Because when you believe you cannot grow, trying becomes scary. It becomes dangerous. It becomes something you avoid to protect yourself. But there is another way of thinking, a growth mindset. And a growth mindset feels like fresh air, like opening a window in that dark room and realizing there's a whole world outside. A growth mindset doesn't say, I can never change. It says, I'm learning. It says, I can improve with practice. It says, I don't understand this yet, but I will. It says, every mistake is part of the process. It says, I'm not supposed to be perfect. I'm supposed to be growing. A growth mindset doesn't see failure as the opposite of success. It sees failure as the path to success. So how do we move from one mindset to the other? How do we begin to change the way we think? Let's start with something very small, something almost ridiculously simple. One tiny word that can transform your inner voice. The word is yet. I love this word. I think it's one of the most powerful words in the English language. Because when you add yet to your thoughts, you create space for possibility. You create space for hope. You create space for the future. Instead of saying, I don't understand, you say, I don't understand yet. Instead of saying, I can't speak English well, you say, I can't speak English well yet. Instead of saying, I'm not confident, you say, I'm not confident yet. Do you feel the difference? The first version closes the door. The second version opens it. The first version ends the journey. The second version begins it. Now let's talk about something people absolutely hate. Mistakes. Nobody likes making mistakes. I don't like them either. But mistakes are not failures. Mistakes are evidence that you're learning. When you make a mistake, your brain pays attention. It says, okay, that didn't work. Let's adjust. Mistakes are like little arrows pointing you in the right direction. Think about a baby learning to walk. The baby falls, then stands up again. The baby falls, then tries again. And nobody tells the baby, stop walking, you're bad at it. Everyone cheers. Good job. Keep going. Try again. But for some reason, when we become adults, we stop cheering for ourselves. We fall once and say, see, I knew I couldn't do it. But falling is part of learning. Falling means you're moving. Falling means you're alive. Now let's talk about comparison. Because comparison is one of the biggest enemies of a healthy mindset. When you compare yourself to others, you rob yourself of your own progress. You forget how far you've come. You forget how hard you've worked. You forget that your journey is unique. Maybe you compare your English to someone else's English. Maybe you compare your life to someone's Instagram feed. Maybe you compare your achievements to people your age. But remember this, you only see the highlight reel of other people's lives. You don't see their fears, their mistakes, their failures, their tears, their long nights of doubt. And here's the truth. Someone else's success is not your failure. Someone else's progress is not your weakness. You are not supposed to live their story. You are supposed to live yours. So instead of comparing yourself to others, compare yourself to your past self. Are you growing? Are you trying? Are you learning? If the answer is yes, even a little bit, then you're doing great. Now let's talk about something extremely practical. Small steps. Because this is where many people fail, not because they don't want to grow, but because they want to grow too fast. They want results right away. They want to skip the journey and jump to the end. But that's not how life works. Big changes come from small actions repeated again and again. When you look at a huge goal, your mind gets overwhelmed. It feels impossible. But when you break it into tiny steps, everything becomes doable. You don't need to learn English today. You just need to learn one phrase today. You don't need to change your whole mindset today. You just need one better thought today. You don't need to change your whole life. You just need one small action. Think of someone building a huge wall. They don't build it in one day. They lay one brick today, one brick tomorrow, one brick the next day. And eventually, they look up and the wall is there. And once you start seeing your mind as a place you can clean up, everything changes. Think about it this way. If your room is messy, you don't sit there and say, well, this is just who I am, a messy person forever. No. You take a deep breath, you turn on some music, and you start cleaning. Maybe slowly at first, maybe one corner at a time, but you do it. And your mind works exactly the same way. You don't need to fix everything in one day. You just need to start with one thought, one moment where you catch yourself, and gently say, wait, I don't have to think like that anymore. And it's actually kind of amazing when you start doing that. You begin to notice how often your brain tries to play old recordings. like an outdated playlist you never liked but kept replaying because you didn't know how to change it. You go through your day and suddenly you hear it. You're not good enough, or you always mess up, or why even try? And instead of believing it automatically, you pause, you breathe, and you say, yeah, no, we're not doing that today. And that small moment, that little decision, that's mindset change happening in real time. A lot of people think mindset change is this huge spiritual awakening or some dramatic moment where everything finally makes sense. But honestly, most of the time, it's tiny decisions, tiny corrections, tiny shifts that slowly build a new version of you. Like when you learn a new language. You don't wake up one morning magically fluent. You learn one new word, then another, then a phrase, then a sentence that finally feels natural coming out of your mouth. And before you know it, you're saying things you once thought were impossible for you. Growth is like that. It's slow, quiet, and unbelievably powerful. And here's something I wish more people understood. You don't need motivation to change your life. Motivation is great when it's there, but it's unreliable. You can't wait for motivation to show up like a guest who's always late. What you really need is commitment. You need a decision. You need that moment where you tell yourself, even if I don't feel like it today, I'll do it anyway. That's discipline. And discipline builds self-respect. And self-respect builds confidence. And confidence builds a new life. But mindset change isn't just about pushing yourself. It's also about treating yourself with actual kindness. Not the fake self-care kind that people post on Instagram, but real kindness. The kind where you let yourself rest when you're exhausted. The kind where you forgive yourself for mistakes instead of torturing yourself with them for days. The kind where you celebrate your small wins even if nobody else notices. Because here's the truth, you become who you are based on how you treat yourself every day when nobody's watching. A lot of people carry this feeling that they need to be perfect before they can start. Perfect body, perfect job, perfect English, perfect plan. But perfection is a trap. It's not real. It's an excuse your brain uses to protect you from discomfort. If you wait to feel ready, you will never start. And if you never start, nothing changes. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to do something. Anything. One step, one action. One moment where you choose growth instead of staying stuck. And I want you to understand something deeply. Your life can change so much faster than you think. People imagine change as this slow, painful process that takes years. But often, the moment that truly changes your life is quick. It's a decision, a realization, a shift in perspective so small that nobody else would even notice it. But you do. Something inside you clicks, and suddenly, you're not the same anymore. That's how change works. The impact is big, but the moment is small. Let me tell you something from my own life. There was a time when I felt stuck. Not completely miserable, but definitely not happy. I was doing the same things every day, feeling the same frustrations, having the same thoughts. And I remember sitting on a bench near a park one afternoon, just watching people walk their dogs, and I felt this wave of clarity. Not dramatic, not emotional, just clarity. And I thought, I don't want to live this way anymore. I'm tired of my own excuses. That was it. The moment was simple and quiet. But everything that came after it was different. Because once you decide to take responsibility for your life can't help but change. And responsibility doesn't mean blaming yourself for everything. It doesn't mean carrying guilt. It doesn't mean being harsh with yourself. It means realizing that even if it's not your fault, it's still your responsibility to create the life you want. It means understanding that you are the only person who will be with you for every second of your life. So if you don't choose yourself, who will? What I love about mindset change is that neuroscience actually supports it. Your brain is not fixed. You're not stuck with the thoughts you have right now. Every new thought, every new habit, every new belief literally reshapes your brain. Every time you replace a negative thought with a healthier one, you're rewriting neural pathways. You're not pretending. You're not lying to yourself. You're rewiring your brain the same way you train your muscles. And just like with physical training, consistency beats intensity every single time. And the coolest thing? You don't even have to believe the new thought fully at first. You just have to consider it. that's enough to start the shift. If you go from I can't do this to maybe I can figure it out, that tiny shift opens a door in your mind, a door that was locked before. And once it's open, even just a little, possibilities start to slip in. New thoughts, new perspectives, new opportunities. And slowly, your identity begins to transform. You stop seeing yourself as the person who always fails. You stop seeing yourself as the unlucky one. You stop seeing yourself as the one who can't learn, who can't change, who can't grow. You start becoming someone new. Not because your life suddenly got easier, but because you changed your inner world first. And here's something really beautiful about mindset change. Once you shift your inner world, your outer world eventually follows. Sometimes slowly, sometimes suddenly, sometimes in ways you never expected. You start noticing opportunities you used to ignore. You start trying things you once avoided. You begin talking to people with more confidence, making decisions with more clarity, and treating yourself with more respect. And even if nobody around you sees the change right away, you feel it. And that feeling becomes fuel. Because once you experience even a small amount of progress, real progress, it becomes addictive. You want more. You want to see how far you can go. You want to see what else is possible for you. And the truth is, a lot is possible for you, much more than you think. You just haven't met the strongest version of yourself yet, because that version is waiting on the other side of consistency. And look, you're going to have days where your old mindset tries to come back, days where you doubt yourself, days where everything feels heavy and nothing seems to work. That's normal. Every human goes through it. But the difference now is that you won't fall back into those old patterns so easily. You'll recognize them. You'll see them coming. And instead of believing every negative thought your mind throws at you, you'll pause and say, I've been here before, but I'm choosing differently this time. That's growth. That's emotional strength. That's transformation. You'll notice that your inner dialogue becomes more supportive, more encouraging, more honest. Not fake positive, not delusional, not pretending everything is perfect, just kinder, clearer, more empowering. You'll tell yourself things like, this is hard, but I'm capable, or I'm learning, or I'm trying, and that matters. And suddenly, life doesn't feel like a battle anymore. It feels like a journey, and you finally feel like you're on your own team. And when you're on your own team, you become unstoppable. Because mindset is the foundation of everything. Your habits, your relationships, your results, your confidence, your future. Change your mindset, and your entire life shifts with it. Maybe not overnight, but inevitably. Because once your thoughts align with who you want to become, your actions naturally follow. And once your actions follow, your reality begins to transform. And here's the part I want you to remember, long after this episode ends. You don't need permission to rebuild your life. You don't need the perfect moment. You don't need to have everything figured out. You just need to start. Start with one thought, one belief, one decision to not give up on yourself. And trust me, your future self is already cheering for you. Before we finish today, I want to tell you something directly. You are capable of becoming someone you don't even recognize yet, in the best possible way. Stronger, more confident, more focused, more alive. And it all begins with your mind. Change that, and everything else opens up. If today's episode helped you even a little, if it made you think differently about yourself or your future, then I'd love for you to join me again. This is Emily, and you've been listening to Daily English Talk. If you want more episodes that help you grow, improve your English, and build a stronger mindset, make sure to follow and subscribe to the channel. New episodes are coming, and I'd love to have you here for all of them. Thank you for spending this time with me. Take care of yourself, keep going, and remember, your life changes the moment your mind does.